Hello and welcome today in Ukraine. Look at what's next to me, a ground robot equipped with a 12.7. So today I suggest you discover three models, a logistics model and a model that does mining. We'll finish with this one, the biggest and most beautiful. There are still several interesting missions. Ta-dam, 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 ta-dam. The first drone I'll show is the Crab, a logistics drone that can carry up to 150 kilos. To give you an idea, it can go up to 7 kilometers per hour on fairly rough terrain. This one is a model with wheels, but there are also versions, not from this brand though, that have tracks. There's a camera here and an antenna on the roof, but usually about 90% of the time it's through Starlink. They can use it from up to 10 kilometers away, staying out of danger. The main mission is to send equipment to line 1. Line 1 is for those who are 3 kilometers away, and line 0 is for those holding the front. We're sending it to line 1, and normally a huge number of drones are used. At each of the points in the rear, they use up to 30, 40, even 50 drones per day. So he'll complete his missions, travel to locations, and deliver equipment for soldiers to use. Then it moves to the next point. The problem is it's still slow, since the front remains 7 kilometers wide. If you have different fronts like that, your ground robot drone, it's going to take 1 or 2 hours to bring equipment to the different teams. At the same time, that's why today we still prefer aerial drones. An aerial drone every 10 minutes will be able to drop 40 kilos of food, supplies and so on to the frontline teams. That's what I did in Siversk. So there's competition among ground logistics drones, which cost 8,000 euros. 150 kilos still fully electric. Aerial drones costing 20,000 euros enable many more deliveries. Even if they're shot down, they only cost 20,000 euros. Just 2.5 times more expensive. In the end, the cost effectiveness is still in favor of aerial drones like Baba Yaga. Propulsion obviously is 100% electric, so there's very little heat emission, which makes it hard to detect even at night, unlike cars or things like that. Actually, the most dangerous moment is getting to the front line, not when you're already there. At 0 line, you can potentially hold out for weeks. But on the other hand, the journey between the rear and this 0 line, line 1, that's what's most dangerous today. At most, it just replaces supply runs, which 4x4S and quads use to supply those on the front lines. Well, up to 10 or 15 kilometers. And the goal is to promote these ground drones as much as possible, or aerial drones, and typically in general, these ground drones. They typically complete up to 150 missions before being destroyed, which is considered relatively effective. All right, let's get back to our topic. The second drone I wanted to show is the Ratel. So this is a multi-mission ground drone. This one also has wheel propulsion and several options. It only costs 2,000 euros. So either we make it a kamikaze drone by putting an explosive charge of up to 25 kilolars to drop into an enemy trench, or it can act as an anti-tank mine, positioning itself in a tank's path to trigger an explosion. It also has various installable modules similar to an IKEA version. And so these systems with a small electric control will allow them to place a kind of small module on top. They press the button and it allows them to lay mines. And in particular, they will lay these mines in the places that have been identified through intelligence. By observing where Russians begin demining and moving through, observation drones, especially aerial drones like DJI, to look at the ground to see if there are mines, they know where the Russians are going to attack. And when there are a lot of high-altitude observation drones, they know that the Russians are preparing something. And so that's the time to send Ratel-type drones to be able to place these mines in the right place, In addition, with mines that are launched with artillery pieces like the M777 that allows you to place 7 mines in the same spot, well, in an area. So it's very effective for stopping multiple assaults. And here, indeed, it really gave good results. So the Ratel drone is for radio communication. It doesn't have a Starlink on top, but this radio communication depends a bit on whether we have a relay or not. With a communication relay, it can reach 10 kilometers. Without one, it's about 3 kilometers, which allows line 0 to hit the trench across from it, or if we're on line 1, even to do logistics for those who are on line 0. Let's go check out the toughest drone, the one with the 12.7. This is the first time this has happened in the history of journalism. Alright, so this robot here is a robot with a 12.7 in the front. It shakes a little bit. This robot has the ability to carry 200 kg of load. Starlink communication, see it right above me. Front and rear cameras, laser rangefinder for target distance, and infrared cameras are included. So the base, actually they have chassis that are almost universal. The chassis will only cost 20,000 euros. Plus they can handle heavy logistics and medical evacuation again. And so here we're looking at the version with the 12.7 Canon. They took a long time to develop the targeting system because the cameras are well offset compared to the Canon itself. And so this targeting system allows for great efficiency at a long distance. The 12.7 is an anti-vehicle cannon, so BMP-1S or other vehicles in front of you won't stand a chance. That vehicle obviously is the one that will go to the front line, right up front. It can be operated like this. It moves quickly. I chased it at around 10 kilometers per hour over rough terrain. Here they're being kind with flat ground to avoid me bumping my head. But basically I'll show you a little bit. Look at what we have around me. Camera at the back for feedback. Here you have the Starlink, so this allows you to have communication that can go almost anywhere. You have the different hydraulic axes to be able to orient the camera that's here. Here they didn't remove it since I'm in visual range, but there are cameras they won't show me. I believe it's a laser rangefinder, a day-night camera, and a 12.7 Canon that locks on and fires efficiently at several kilometers with an operational range over 1,000 meters. They tell me it's on vehicles. So basically a lightly armored vehicle like a BTR, BMP and so on. It's going to be destroyed by this type of vehicle. Obviously it gives a firepower that's just gigantic against humans, against assaults, because that's still the case most of the time now. In the trenches, they increasingly have remote-operated cannons where there aren't robots. And so they've positioned these cannons in different places and will be able to fire them. You see here, we're dealing with movement that's done with tracks. They really have the entire range. From the Ratel at 2,000 euros to the 150 kilos, the four-wheel at 8,000 euros and the tracked system at 20,000 euros. They adapt to almost anything, especially on the battlefield. Too dangerous for humans. Or simply to spare to avoid sending commandos and sending men to carry out assaults. The assaults will be accompanied by a 12.7 that no one can carry. Because a boat like that, obviously, you can't carry it on your back, it's not possible. And there are other versions on which they also have anti-drone jammers, because that's obviously a priority target on the other side. They also offer versions where this cannon includes an anti-drone jammer, since it still has available payload capacity. And so the fighters, when they go out to carry out assaults, what they call the Sturm, there's the cannon that will accompany them, which will be remotely operated by radio. Apparently it's really well organized. Additionally, it eliminates the need for someone to carry 1544 pounds of electronic warfare and drone protection equipment. And so it's this robot that will provide solid fire support at the same time. And in addition to jamming Russian kamikaze drones to prevent the unit from being hit, there's still the problem of fiber optic drones, but against those the shotgun is the most effective. And the shotgun is easier to carry than a backpack with a jammer inside. They're now receiving those regularly. Since 2023, this type of equipment has become increasingly common. This is only the second time they've had the 12.7 version, so it's still fairly new. For logistics and evacuation missions since 2023, this remains an issue. We see it on video and watch the battlefield evolve, now more recent and robotic, because the Ukrainians want to save lives. And they clearly see the difference with the Russians, who tend to try to overwhelm them by sheer numbers, without really caring about the survival of their men. Hope you enjoyed this video, friends. It's a first for me, but it's more something anecdotal or something you rarely see. Ground drones are now on the battlefield and crucial for saving lives. Because when ground drones are gone, humans take over missions. Hope you enjoyed it. See you very soon.